Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Doors hissed open, and cold light pinned the bed. My palm hit the rail, and the metal bit. Monitors spat beeps, and plastic tubes trembled like wires. "You should have died instead," she whispered, the words cut. I leaned close, and the mask fogged with her breath. "My name is Nate, and I am 26. The four-pole clicked softly, and the fluid shivered. I said nothing, and my mouth tasted like copper. I waited. My mom hovered near the door, and her scarf dripped. My dad gripped a paper cup, and steam curled slow. "Give her space," my mom said. "She asked for me," I said. The cup trembled in my dad's hand. He stared. I slid my fingers under the blanket, and she flinched. Her skin felt damp, and the sheet rasped my knuckles. "I am here now," I said. The ceiling lights buzzed like hornets, and her eyes did not blink. A nurse rolled a cart, and metal drawers clicked. The room smelled like bleach, and the wheels squeaked. "Keep talking," the nurse said quietly. She adjusted a clamp on the tube, then left, the door side. I watched the clock, and the second hand jumped. The plastic chair groaned under me, and my knee bounced. "Why would you say that?" I asked. Her lashes flickered once, and her shoulders barely moved, nothing else. The nurse returned with a clear bag, and it crinkled. Alcohol stung the air, and the zip strip pulled tight. She set it by the monitor and nodded at me. "Personal items for her," she said. The bag waited. I peeled the seal, and cool plastic rasped my fingertips. A cracked phone lay inside, and the glass glinted. A red wristband tangled with a hair tie and clacked. My keychain stared back, and the cheap metal was sticky. I froze. It was the leather loop and the tiny silver car. I touched it through plastic, and cold bled through. "That is mine now," I said. My mom looked at the bag, and her face chilled. She swallowed. My dad reached for the bag, and I pulled back. "I will hold that," my dad said. The fluorescent light buzzed harder, and his ring flashed. "She had it when she came in," the nurse said. The keys ticked. I remembered blue strobes and rain and sirens rising. The scent of wet asphalt returned, and my mouth dried. My fingers tightened on the rail, and the bed creaked. "Why were you in my car?" I asked. Her eyelids fluttered. Her lips moved under the mask, and fog bloomed. "Not now, Nate, please," she breathed. I leaned closer, and her hair smelled like smoke. "Please tell me," I said. The pump clicked faster. A badge flashed behind a glass and vanished again. Footsteps patted on tile, and paper rustled softly. I stared at the saline bag and counted bubbles. One bubble paused midway, then slipped down. Time crawled. My mom placed a knitted blanket and smoothed the corner. The blanket smelled like lavender, and comfort felt wrong. "It will be fine," my mom said. "It will be fine," my dad said. Neither looked up. I pushed the chair closer, and the legs scraped. The bed rail was cold, and my palm stuck. "I am here now," I said. "I heard you," she whispered softly. Her eyes burned. The bag keys knocked the tray, and a sharp clink. I stared at the tiny car charm, and it winked. The room smelled like antiseptic again, and fear thickened. Why were my keys in her pocket last night? The bar door banged open, and rain slapped my face. Bass thudded behind me, and neon smeared across puddles. My fingers slipped on the rail, and cold water stung. A blue sedan sat under a flickering lamp arse. A towel landed on my shoulder, and it scratched. "Hydrate," the bartender said, and he shoved a bottle. The room smelled like spilled beer, and citrus cut through. I glanced at the bottle cap. It spun. Footsteps splashed near the curb, and laughter snapped off. A black SUV idled by the gutter, and exhaust drifted. Its headlights flared white, and the grille looked hungry. The wipers on our sedan twitched once, waiting. "You good to get home?" the bartender asked. "I will call a ride," I said. He wiped a chipped counter, and the cloth squeaked. His eyes tracked the SUV through the rain. I stepped into the night, and the umbrella shook. Wet fabric clung to my wrist, and my pulse jumped. Our sedan blinked once, and the mirrors shivered. A man in a hood leaned on a mailbox still. My sister cut across the lot, and her boots splashed. She brushed rain from her cheek, and lightning flashed. "Text the route," she said. She opened the door, and the dome light bloomed bright. I tossed my hoodie onto the back seat, and it thumped. The interior smelled like coffee and wet wool, and warm air hissed. "Take the express bridge," I said. She nodded once, and the seat clicked forward, set. The engine turned over low, and the dash glowed. Her knuckles were pale on the wheel, and rain hammered. "Call me if you need me," I said. She looked straight ahead, and the wipers carved arcs, stern. Taillights smeared red across the lot, and my breath fogged. The umbrella snapped in the wind, and ribs rattled. The SUV rolled away slow, and indicators winked. It turned after her, and its tires hissed close. My phone buzzed in my palm, and glass gleamed. Water had dripped from the case, and my thumb slipped. A message read on my way, and 3 dots pulsed. Another bubble formed, then vanished mid-word, strange. I waved down a rideshare, and headlights washed my knees. The door handle was slick, and vinyl stuck to my jacket. "Where to?" the driver asked. "The West Bridge," I said, quick. Air freshener stung my nose, and the pine tree swung. A cracked hula girl bobbed on the dash, and springs clicked. I watched a blue dot crawl on the map and lag. The dot slowed near the river bend wrong. Rain hammered the roof, and the driver squinted. "Bad wreck ahead," he said. A police scanner crackled from his cup holder, and static hissed. I watched the dots stop by the guardrail, silent. We crested the hill, and blue light flooded the windshield. Cones glowed wet orange, and a trooper waved us over. I pressed my palm to the glass, and it felt cold. A broken headlight lay in the lane, shining. I jumped out as the car rocked, and boots splashed. A flare spat sparks by my ankle, and heat kissed. "Stay behind the line," the trooper said. Another siren wailed from the darkness, closer. Through sheets of rain, I saw the twisted guardrail. Steam coiled from a crumpled hood, and metal hissed. The river under the bridge roared black, and wind howled. A small brass lighter rested on wet asphalt, burning cold. "Whose car is this?" the trooper asked. "Mine," I said. He lifted a ruined license plate, and water dripped steady. His flashlight swept the median, then halted, sudden. A stretcher flashed by, and straps rattled tight. Medics shouted numbers, and boots pounded on steel. I grabbed the stretcher frame, and plastic bit skin. Her bracelet knocked against the rail, sharp as a bell. The trooper's radio cracked again, and voices overlapped. "Debris field extends 50 yards, someone said. A mud streak ran up the lane, and gravel ground. Another vehicle had braked hard behind her and followed. I slid her key into the lock, and metal scraped. The hall smelled like old carpet, and dust floated in the light. The door gave with a soft pop, and hinges complained. I stepped inside, and the apartment breathed out warmth, waiting. The lamp clicked on, and a gold shade glowed softly. Rain tapped the window, and the sill felt damp. Her backpack slumped by the couch, and straps tangled. I towed it aside, and something hard rattled small. The desk drawer stuck, and splinters bit my thumb. Wood smelled sweet, and a rubber band snapped. I pried with a butter knife, and the faceplate lifted. A loose board wobbled under the drawer, hollow. I pulled the board free, and grit scratched my palm. A tin box crouched in the gap, and edges were cold. The lid resisted, and rust dusted my knuckles. It opened with a sigh, and the room seemed to lean closer. Inside lay a black phone, and glass caught the lamp. The case felt greasy, and my fingerprints smeared. I pressed the side button, and the screen blinked awake. A message banner pulsed once, then held still, stubborn. "Wrong car tonight," the preview read, and letters glared. My breath sounded loud, and the floor cooled my feet. I tapped the thread, and numbers filled the screen. No names, only timestamps and routes, a plan. An envelope hid under the phone, and paper rasped. Ink smelled sharp, and the flap scratched my wrist. Receipts spilled out, and a name marked the margins. Victor circled in blue pen, and arrows pointed. Tape tugged at the envelope, and gray foam clung. A magnet clicked against my ring, and vibrated faintly. It fit a palm, and edges were scuffed. I pictured a bumper in darkness, and breathed through heat, tracking. The silver flash drive sat beneath, and plastic felt slick. The sticker read Camera's West Bridge, and the letters bled. I pocketed it fast, and the tin answered with a rattle. The lamp hummed a little louder, like it knew proof. The laptop on her table whirred, and dust smelled burnt. The hinge creaked open, and a blue glow washed keys. I slid the drive in, and a tiny LED blinked. Folders sprouted on the desktop, and my chest tightened. The first clip stuttered, and night poured across the screen. Rain hissed in the audio, and light smeared white. A camera watched the bridge, and traffic shivered past. A dark SUV idled near the curb, then crept, patient. I scrubbed forward, and the touchpad scraped under my nail. A figure slipped into frame, and the coat gleamed wet. He bent by a bumper, and a hand moved quick. A small flame flared under the chassis, then died clean. I froze the image, and pixels swam in the glow. A watch band flashed red, and water ran off the sleeve. The street lamp buzzed above him, and his shoulders never lifted. He finished and melted back to the curb, practiced. Footsteps whispered in the hallway, and paper slid under. The door breathed once, and the knob ticked softly. I stared at the envelope on the rug and swallowed. A single line read, "Call me tonight," with a number, bait. My thumb shook on the burner, and the ring cut. I dialed the number slow, and the speaker hissed. "Talk," a voice said, and I gripped the table edge. "Who are you?" I asked. The laptop fan whined. "You took my box," the voice said, and silence stretched. "You are late," the voice said, and the line crackled. "Meet me where the bridge begins," the voice said. The call dropped, and the burner screen went black dead. I shoved the phone and drive into my jacket, and cloth rasped. The apartment smelled like lavender now, and fear tasted metallic. I slid the tin back under wood and pressed the board flat. The lamp clicked off, and the window held a shadow, watching. I slammed the back door, and keys rattled on tile. The kitchen smelled like burnt toast, and the ceiling light flickered. My jacket dripped on a chair, and the clock ticked hard. "Where is the coffee?" I asked. My throat felt smoke. My dad stood by the sink, and a mug steamed. My mom wrung a dish towel, and water slapped porcelain. "Sit," my dad said. He set the mug down, and the handle trembled, barely. "Who is Victor?" I asked, and the chair scraped. The fridge hummed loud, and a magnet tilted crooked. My mom stared at a spoon, and her breath hitched. My dad rubbed his ring, and his eyes shuddered slow. I pulled the junk drawer, and pins rolled like bones. Metal smelled like pennies, and dust filmed my fingers. A manila folder hid under rubber bands, and I grabbed it. The edges sliced skin, and the paper felt warm, alive. I spread the folder out, and the table creaked. A notary stamp shone under the lamp, and ink bled. My name glared on a policy, and the date screamed. A clause sat boxed in red, and my stomach lurched hard. "You forged me," I said, and my voice scraped. The coffee tasted bitter, and ceramic clinked against teeth. "It was pressure," my dad said. He gripped the counter, and the laminate bowed, faint. My mom pushed tissues across, and lotion smelled floral. She set a framed photo upright, and glass winked. "We were drowning," she said. Her fingers shredded the tissue, and the pieces fell snow. I flipped another page, and staples tugged skin. A promissory note glared bold, and zeros marched. A late fee doubled in red, and the margin shouted. A business card slid out, and the edge scratched sharp. The card showed a black rook in silver letters. A faint smoke scent clung to the card, and it stung. "Where did you meet him?" I asked. "Rail yard offices," my dad said. He would not blink. "He promised to float," he said, and the faucet dripped. He said short term, he said, and the tap clicked. He said accidents happen, he said. The word hung under the lamp, and the bulb buzzed hot. I pushed the policy toward him, and paper hissed. My palms felt raw, and the wood grain scratched. "He named a payout," I said. "He named a date." I said the date matched tonight. A kettle whistled sharp, and steam curled like flags. My mom killed the burner, and the knob thumped. "Call the police," she said. She set the kettle aside, and metal rang, pleading. My phone buzzed on the table, and glass vibrated. The screen lit the sugar jar, and letters stabbed. "Bring the drive and the keys," the message read. "Come alone to the bridge, start. 20 minutes. I pocketed the flash drive, and plastic warmed my hand. The burner sat beside the salt, and its screen pulsed. "Do not go," my mom said. She grabbed my sleeve, and the fabric rasped, desperate. I opened a drawer by the stove, and wires tangled. A A small voice recorder lay under twine, and I lifted it. The record light blinked red, and a click echoed. I slid it into my pocket, and it pressed bone ready. My dad fumbled a flip phone, and the hinge creaked. He dialed a number fast, and static hissed. "He will not pick up," he said. He snapped it shut, and plastic cracked, useless. "How many has he hurt?" I asked, and the room narrowed. The clock hammered seconds, and the hands twitched. "2 last year," my dad said. He stared at the tabletop and said nothing else. Guilt. I lifted his mug, and the rim felt gritty. Cold coffee coated my tongue, and I set it down. "You will tell them everything," I said. He nodded once, and the light flared harsh. I tucked the policy back and the folder side. The fridge kicked on loudly, and the floor vibrated. "Do not bring that card," my mom said. I slipped it into my wallet, and the leather creaked, defiant. The porch bulb hummed outside, and the glass glowed amber. I grabbed my wet jacket, and the zipper bit. "I will fix this," I said. The doorknob felt icy, and the night breathed wet. Gravel crunched under my boots, and air smelled like rain. The car door handle stuck, and my knuckles burned. Headlights washed the fence, and shadows jumped. I started the engine, and the dash lit countdown. The wipers thudded a rhythm, and the windshield shivered. Streetlights flickered ahead, and puddles flashed. I gripped the wheel tighter, and leather tugged skin. The bridge loomed beyond the warehouses, and the clock raced fast. I rolled beneath the bridge, and the engine ticked hot. River air stung my nose, and sodium light pooled orange. My palm pressed the recorder in my pocket, and plastic warmed. Gravel crunched under my boot, and the pillars loomed, waiting. Headlights cut off behind me, and darkness swallowed the lane. A chain-link fence rattled lightly, and wind hissed through gaps. The burner vibrated once in my hand, and then stilled. I watched a black SUV idle near the curb, patient. A man stepped out slow, and his coat shed rain. His breath smoked in the cold, and a brass lighter clicked. The flame licked his thumb, and shadows jumped across concrete. He closed the lighter softly and smiled without teeth, deliberate. "You brought my things," he said. "Tell me what you want," I said. He glanced at the bridge seam, and his watch flashed red. "Keys in the drive," he said, his eyes never blinked. I raised the flash drive, and the casing felt slick. Sodium light slid over the label, and the sticker bled. "You know what's on this," I said. He tilted his head, and the lighter tapped metal, curious. I pressed my thumb on the recorder, and the switch ticked. The red glow burned against fabric and heat-soaked skin. He stepped closer, and damp brushed my sleeve. "Trade now," he said. His breath smelled like smoke. The second door opened, and hinges squealed into the wind. Boots scraped gravel behind me, and oil scented the air. A man carried a crowbar low, and his hood dripped. The bar tapped the pavement once, and echoed warning. "You were behind her," I said. The crowbar man grinned, and water ran off foam earplugs. He shifted his grip on the bar, and rubber squeaked. "Wrong lane," he said. The grin never reached his eyes. I loosened my hold, and the flash drive cooled. The river gnawed the pilings, and night pressed hard. "You staged it at the bend," I said. The lighter clicked again, and the flame shrank. "Stop guessing," the first man said. "Names are risky," he said. He held out a leather glove, and raindrops jeweled the knuckles. The glove hovered between us, and my pulse hammered shoes. The SUV's taillight winked, and a soft relay popped. Exhaust curled white from the pipe, and it stung sharp. I slipped the keys from my pocket, and the loop squealed. "They were in her pocket," I said. His jaw flexed. He didn't flinch, and his watch pulsed once. Concrete smelled wet and bitter, and my tongue dried. "Keys," he said, and he pushed the glove closer. I let the ring drop, and metal kissed leather bait. The crowbar man drifted right, and boots scraped grit. A small torch lay on the tailgate, and gas fumes bit. He kicked the torch toward the lighter man and waited. "Clean up after," he said like routine. A truck growled overhead, and the deck plates thundered. Sodium light flickered on my hood, and paint dulled. I slid a hand along cold concrete and steadied myself. "You plan to torch it," I said, my voice steady. The lighter man flicked flame, and the tip breathed blue. Rain whispered on the metal case, and it hissed. "Insurance hates ash," he said. He pocketed the lighter and reached for my wrist, fast. I jerked back hard, and rubber scraped my palm. My shoulder slammed the pillar, and grit bit through cloth. He caught only my sleeve, and threads ripped free. The recorder pressed into bone and throbbed, alive. "Debt doubles after delays," he said. He pinched my sleeve scrap and dropped it slow. "Your family understands terms," he said. He dusted his glove and glanced at the crowbar command. The crowbar man swung lazy, and metal sang near ear. Cold air sliced my cheek, and blood tasted iron. I grabbed the bar between strokes, and steel vibrated. We wrestled over the rough handle, and boots slipped hard. The bar tore loose, and my palms burned raw. A horn blared far away, and the bridge shivered. I fainted left with the bar, and he ducked. I cracked the chain link once, and sparks spat bright. "Easy," the lighterman said. He raised both hands slow, and rain pebbled his cuffs. "Think before you swing," he said. His watch blinked red again, and the light stung, warning. I pointed the bar at his chest, and arms shook. My breath scratched my throat, and river spray chilled skin. "You followed her from the bar," I said. He smiled small, and water traced his lip, taunting. He snapped his fingers once, and the SUV's trunk popped. A canvas bag slumped inside, and zippers winked dull. "Bring the kit," he said. The crowbar man reached in, and buckles clinked vaguely. I glanced at my fob, and the buttons gleamed. The plastic felt slick under rain, and edges cut. I pressed panic, and my car screamed under the bridge. Sound bounced off concrete, and the men flinched, cuss. "Turn it off," the lighterman said. I didn't move, and headlights strobed in puddles. He lunged for my wrist, and his glove slid. I shoved him with the bar, and he stumbled, angry. The crowbar man charged, and the kit swung from his grip. A roll of tape fell out and slapped wet pavement. I kicked the tape into the dark, and plastic skated. He reached again, and my elbow found throat clean. Tires hissed from the access road, and a siren yelped. Blue washed the pillars once, and then faded again. The lighterman lifted his coat, and steel winked low. A short blade flashed in his palm, and rain gathered lethal. "Stop or bleed," he said. He held the knife steady, and the tip bobbed. River wind whipped his coat, and the lining snapped. The watch blinked red faster, and my mouth dried. Countdown. I raised the bar 2 inches and shifted weight. Concrete throbbed under trucks, and the railing hummed. The crowbar man staggered up and coughed hard. He lifted the kit again, and a rag swung soaked. The lighterman flicked the knife sideways and smiled thin. He stepped on my dropped key ring, and metal chirped. My alarm cut off abruptly, and silence fell heavy. We listened to river water slap pylons. Only that. "You will hand me the drive," he said. "You will walk away after," I said. He lifted the knife, and the blade caught orange. "You will not ask again," he said. His eyes were flat. I pulled the drive halfway out, and plastic rasped. The sticker peeled at the corner, and glue tugged. "I want proof of her mistake," I said. He tilted his head and nodded once, amused. He slid a phone from his coat, and glass glimmered. Rain peppered the screen, and droplets raced. He opened a photo, and light smeared a familiar bridge. A blue sedan fishtailed near the bend, and a second car box, new. "Your sister took your place," he said. "She chose badly," he said. He slipped the phone back, and leather creaked. "Life is a ledger," he said. "Numbers never cry." I swallowed heat, and the river tasted like rust. The bar felt heavier now, and my hand shook. "You told the tow dispatcher before impact," I said. His nostrils flared once, and the knife steadied a tell. I flicked my wrist, and the drive sailed. It arced under sodium light and flashed once. It clanged off a drained grate and vanished into dark. The lighterman swore quietly, and the knife dipped, opening. I lunged forward, and the bar rang on steel. The knife spun out and skittered across puddles. The crowbar man tackled me low, and gravel ripped skin. We rolled under the fence edge, and chain bit hard. Boots slapped asphalt from the access ramp, and voices barked. Distant sirens rose again, an echo stacked under concrete. The lighterman scooped the knife and backed toward the SUV. His brass lighter fell from his pocket and sparked wicked. "Take the keys," he shouted. The crowbar man reached blindly and grabbed at shadows. I jammed the recorder deeper, and fabric scratched knuckles. The red light bled through cotton and pulsed witness. Headlights flooded the lane, and wet stone blazed white. Tires screeched near the pillars, and smoke stung. The SUV fishtailed once and corrected fast. The lighter man slid behind the wheel and stared, measuring. He mouthed something slow, and his watch glowed again. The word looked like later, and it burned cold. He gunned the engine hard, and water fanned up. The SUV arrowed into darkness, and taillights smeared. I staggered to my feet, and knees throbbed hot. The crowbar lay crooked in the puddle and hummed faintly. I grabbed it with both hands, and metal chilled bone. Blue strobes climbed the girders, and boots pounded, closing. Blue strobes washed the pillars, and radios cracked like static. A cold mist licked my neck, and a badge flashed. A heavy flashlight found my face, and I squinted. Hands visible, the officer said. Gravel crunched closer. A detective knelt by the puddle, and plastic snapped. He lifted the brass lighter with tongs, and water dripped. The flame will caught the light, and letters glimmered faint. He slid it into a bag, and the seal hissed, "Careful." "Tell me what you have," he said. I pressed the recorder into his palm, and plastic warmed. Its tiny screen bled red, and a timestamp held steady. The wind roared under steel, and his coat flapped, intent. We sat in his cruiser, and leather sighed under me. He plugged the recorder into a port, and static hissed. Voices crackled through the speaker, and the wheel vibrated. He stared at the dash lights and listened without blinking, absorbing. He turned the volume up, and a click stood out. "Good," he said, and his breath fogged the windshield. He rewound 2 seconds, and the tick repeated. "That is a relay," he said, the trunk command. He introduced himself as Ruiz and shook rain off. His radio chirped once, and numbers feathered the air. "Hospital now," he said. He passed me a wool blanket, and the fibers scratched anchor. We pulled from the lot, and tires hissed on grit. Heater air blasted my hands, and salt dried my lips. A plastic saint hung from the mirror, and it swung. Headlights combed the river wall, and the city rose hard. The ICU doors whooshed, and cold whites burned my eyes. Antiseptic stung my nose, and the floor squeaked. A vending cup rattled in the machine and dropped. I gripped the hot paper and felt nothing, empty. My mom perched on a chair, and the cushions squealed. Her eyes chased the monitor light, and fingers twitched. My dad held a crushed tissue, and the fibers pilled. Ruiz stepped in behind me, and the badge glinted, official. He placed the evidence bag on a tray, and plastic crackled. The brass lighter floated in fog, and letters showed. An engraving read or with 12 faintly, and the font clawed. Ruiz tapped the bag once, and my stomach flipped clue. He unpacked a folder, and paper edges whispered. A printout lay under the lamp, and towers marched. "Watch pings match the access road," he said. He traced a red line with a pen, and paused, cornered. He slid a slim warrant across, and glue smelled sharp. "Units are at the rail yard offices," he said. He flipped a second page, and seal stamps winked. "Storage Bay 12 is listed," he said, same mark. The ventilator breathed steady, and the tube hissed. Her eyelashes trembled at the light, and a tear shone. Her fingers brushed the blanket edge, and cotton rasped. I stepped close, and my throat rasped too. "Say it." "I switched the keys," she whispered, and the mask fogged. Her eyes fixed on the tray, and the bag lighter. "I wanted them to follow me," she said. Her hand pressed mine weakly, and the tape tugged choice. "Why would you do that?" I asked. The monitor chimed softly, and LEDs blinked blue. "I saw the magnet 2 days ago," she said. Her nails scraped the sheet and left pale lines proof. "I called the number from the notes," she said. The oxygen line trembled, and plastic creaked. "I said the blue sedan would be alone," she said. She looked at the ceiling tiles, and the grid held bait. "They boxed me at the bend," she said. Rain hammered the glass memory, and her jaw clenched. "One car braked hard in front," she said. "A dark SUV nudged my rear quarter," she said, trap. "I saw his face in the mirror," she said. The tube hissed again, and her voice thinned. "He wore a red blinking watch," she said. "His lighter flashed like a coin," she said, burned in. Ruiz slid a lineup sheet over, and paper rasped. Fluorescence carved shadows on ink, and faces stared. "Point if you can," he said. Her finger hovered above a photo and tapped once sure. Victor Cade, Ruiz said quietly. The name landed heavy, and the room tightened. He circled the photo with a pen, and the nib squeaked. Rail yard contractor, he said. Now it had edges. My dad dug a small key from his pocket, and metal chimed. He set it on the tray, and it spun once. Bay 12, he said. His voice fell flat under the lights, and his shoulders sagged, exposed. Ruiz took the key with tweezers, and the grip clicked. He bagged it fast, and the seal strip puckered. You will write what you know, he said. He placed a form on the counter, and the pen rolled, deadline. The nurse adjusted the drip, and alcohol stung the air. She tucked the sheet tighter, and the fabric snapped. 2 minutes only, the nurse said. Her palm grazed my sleeve, and warmth passed, fragile. I left the tin at home, she said. Her eyes followed a dust mote, and light caught it. In case I failed, she said. Her fingertips traced the blanket seam and paused, contingency. I never meant you to find a bridge, she said. The oxygen bubbled softly, and the monitor paced. I texted, take the long route, she said. Her gaze slid to my phone and held guilt. Ruiz's radio spat names, and a siren wailed distant. He pressed the speaker tight and static bit. Fire at Bay 12, a voice said. He grabbed his coat off the chair, and the hanger clacked, urgent. He showed me a tablet photo, and pixels burned bright. Orange lit a corrugated door, and smoke billowed. A canvas bag lay in the frame, and straps stretched. We have a kit with print, he said, good. He squeezed my shoulder once, and leather creaked softly. Stay with her now, he said. Call if anything changes, he said. He pocketed the recorder's card, and the hatch thumped, moving. My mom held a cup of ice, and cubes chimed. She touched my back lightly, and her fingers shook. She is strong, my mom said. Water beads slid down the cup and chilled my wrist, prayer. My dad signed the form stiffly, and ink smelled metallic. He set the pen down square and exhaled. I will answer everything, he said. The pen rolled toward the edge and nearly felched. The room dimmed a shade, and blinds rattled softly. I set the evidence bag upright, and plastic rustled. The lighter's engraving caught my eye, and held it. Wood 12 glared through haze again, and my jaw locked, target. Her lips parted slightly, and the mask fogged quick. I did not want you on that road, she said. I wanted it to end, she said. Her hand tightened on my knuckles, and heat surged, promise. The intercom crackled once, and a bell chimed lonely. Footsteps hurried past the door, and wheels squealed. A shadow crossed the window and paused. Somebody watched our room's thin light and waited, uneasy. Ruiz called back in, and his voice was clipped. Unit found a burned relay box, he said. Same model as your trunk system, he said. My phone vibrated on the tray and skittered, incoming. A text blinked on the cracked screen, and letters pulsed. Thanks for the trade, it read, and my stomach lurched. The second line followed slow, and the pixels crawled. Next time bring the rest, it said, still hunting. I lifted the phone for Ruiz, and the speaker buzzed. He snapped a photo fast, and his camera clacked. Number is masked, he said. He sniffed sharply once and pocketed the device bag, technique. The nurse dimmed the lamp 2 clicks, and gold fell soft. The ventilator whispered like wind, and my shoulders loosened. I placed the phone beside the cup, and glass clinked. Her fingers traced its cracked corner, and stilled, thinking. Do not go alone again, she said. Her voice rasped dry, and the tube shifted. Promise me now, she said. I held her gaze in the half-light and nodded off. A deputy slid a photo under the door, and paper rasped. A wet boot print smeared the tile and smelled like river. The photo showed the Rook emblem and a new shop. Eastlot front office. The note read, another nest. My mom gathered the scattered cups, and plastic squeaked. She stacked them by the sink, and water glimmered. I will make a call, she said. She wiped her hands on a towel and looked back, resolve. I leaned my forehead to her wrist, and pulse drummed. The tape on the Ford tugged, and my skin prickled. I'm not leaving, I said. The monitor ticked a steady beat, and I matched it together. Ruiz returned breathless, and smoke clung to his coat. He set a charred watch on the tray, and glass cracked. A tiny red diode blinked weakly and then died. He met my eyes under the light and nodded, closing in. "We found a phone behind a vent," he said. His voice roughened, and the room felt tighter. "Calls route to a second burner," he said. He placed a bagged SIM beside the lighter and tapped breadcrumb. The blinds rattled again, and hallway voices rose. The night nurse wheeled in a lamp, and wheels squeaked. She swapped the saline bag gently, and plastic bubbled. "Vitals are holding," she said, a thin mercy. I kissed my sister's temple, and antiseptic bit my lips. Her hair smelled like smoke and soap, and memory flooded. "You pull me back," I whispered. "I will pull you further." I said we were not done. Outside the window, dawn bruised the edge of sky and lifted. Parking lot lights snapped off one by one, and shadows folded. The brass lighter gleamed faint in its bag and waited. I watched that small weight in plastic and saw a door not finished.